and they see us, and they're like, okay, they're gonna scare us. Bam! We just hit them. We're probably going, I'm not exaggerating, 70 to 90 miles an hour down the road. And I get behind them, bam, and I hit them. And, you know, when you get behind somebody like that and you're going that fast, they have no control of the steering wheel. They can't do anything. They can't turn off.
JBL talks about the first time he got hit by a car with Ron Simmons. The first time, huh? All right. Well, let's see what JBL has to say.
Well, I know that you and Ron are thick as thieves, and I know that you've probably got some interesting travel stories. You've told us before that sometimes you guys would almost play bumper cars. And there's a pretty famous story out there about you sharing a car with Mark Henry, Taka Michinoku, and D'Lo Brown. I mean, somehow they're in a car, and then, well, I'll let you pick it up from here.
Yeah, we're up in going into Halifax. We're working somewhere. We're like near Moncton or somewhere, and we're crossing by the big bridge at PEI, I believe, going back. And D'Lo Brown and Taka, it was in the back seat. Mark Henry was driving, World's Strongest Man's driving, and it's me, Ron, and Godfather. And they drive by us, and they'd been to like a chicken shack or something. And D'Lo threw all the chicken bones out on our car, you know, just horsing around. So all of a sudden we're sitting there driving. I got to turn the windshield wipers on because I got chicken bones and chicken skin all over my windshield. And so, you know, just horsing around. So Ron goes, no, they didn't. And Godfather goes, hit them. So for the next, I'm not exaggerating, 20 to 30 minutes. You can ask Mark Henry, D'Lo. Taka claims he still doesn't speak English. I'm not sure about that. I think it's total bullshit. But we got behind them, and they see us, and they're like, okay, they're going to scare us. And bam! We just hit them. We're probably going, I'm not exaggerating, 70 to 90 miles an hour down the road. And I get behind them, bam, and I hit them. And, you know, when you get behind somebody like that and you're going that fast, they have no control of the steering wheel. They can't do anything. They can't turn off. They can't do nothing. So their governor would kick in on their car, and when they would, it would slow down a little bit. And bam, I'd hit them again. And we're just driving them. So D'Lo, I think that's when he came up with his head movement. He was like, Mark Henry's got the steering wheel. And I thought, that big son of a bitch is going to rip that steering wheel off the car. Because he was like sitting there. You could see him from behind, the tenseness in it. And Taka rode with him to try to learn English. He never learned English, but he found God that night. God. He was horrified. You can see Taka in the back. He's like with his arms and stuff talking like that. And the best thing was in our car, Ron's sitting there still just drinking, and Godfather's sitting there, no seatbelt on, just smizzing, driving down the road. We're hitting these guys going 70 to 90 miles an hour down the road. It lasted. And Connor, I got to emphasize, this was not like a one-off. We did this for like 20 to 30 minutes before they finally got away from us.
I mean, is it not a miracle that you guys didn't all wind up dead? I mean,
yes.
This seems like a horrible accident waiting to happen.
Yeah.
It was just Tuesday.
That's right. It was just Tuesday. I remember the first time I ever got hit by a car, I'd worked in San Angelo with Greg Valentine. His dad was there. And
Wait a minute. What a sentence. Only in wrestling can we start. You know, the first time I got hit by a car. Not like there's been
right
the first time. Okay,
that is absolutely wild. And yeah, JBL just tells it like nothing. Oh, good old time. Yeah, I was ramming him with the car. Mark Henry was struggling to keep it still. Yeah, good old times. Wrestling. Anyway, so the first time I got hit with my car, or got hit by a car, I mean, I'm at loss for words. I mean, yeah, Conrad is right. That was an accident just waiting to happen. A horrible accident. And were these with rental cars? Because I'm assuming that they would have had to pay for damages with that. Like, how did they get away with this? I don't know, man. And Godfather, he doesn't have a seatbelt on in the back. That's, yeah, man. Yeah. Wild story. I don't know what to say about that. Is this real life? Is this one of these, maybe he's, he's working us, maybe? Because if this is a true story, that's insane. What do you guys think? Sound off in the comment section below. Let's continue with the first time he got hit by a car.
Right. So I'd never had this happen to me. So we're driving that road between San Angelo and Abilene, that 83, 183, whatever it was. You could fly down there. You go as fast as you want. No police were ever on it. Nobody cared. The only thing you might hit is a deer. And so I worked in San Angelo, and Johnny Valentine was there. And Greg Valentine, when his dad was there, turned into freaking Haku. I mean, he beats whoever he's wrestling up with. He beat him up. And I'm like, oh my God, we got Johnny Valentine here. Greg's going to beat the shit out of me. And he did. I mean, it was, when his dad was there, it was brutal. Greg's a tough guy anyway, but oh my God. And I hit him with a clothesline and knocked his tooth out. And so anyway, I didn't realize I'd done it because Greg's not going to bitch about it, not complain about it. Well, anyway, coming back on the road, he's telling the boys, I think he was with Ricky and Robert. I'm not sure. He's drinking. He goes, yeah, some bitch knocked my tooth out. And so he goes, there he is. And they see us up ahead. They must have been going 100 plus miles an hour because we were going about as fast as our car would go. And I look up and I see this bright lights behind me. And I tell James Beard, who I'm riding with, and I think Skandor Akbar or Dick Murdoch, one of the two, I said, what the hell? And I said, is that a cop? And all of a sudden, bam, they hit me. And I'm like, which is great. I just got hit by a car. And they're going, oh, that's Greg Valentine. And they're just laughing. I'm going, God, I didn't think it was that funny.
My God. This is like, I mean, we should have had, those little cab game shows. We should have had cameras rigged up in you guys' rides back then.
Oh,
That's
my God.
cool.
They talk about this ride along that they did. You know, brother, you want to get a flux capacitor somewhere out of Back to the Future. Go back in one of these cars. That was ride along. It was the Wild West. I told some guys one day, don't mess with Piper. He will wreck you. Sure enough, some guys come look at our car. Piper had just broadsided them. Just broadsided them. They screwed up next to Piper to try to scare him. You can't scare Piper. Piper just goes, bam, and just hits him. And by the way, the thing about this, Conrad, this is what's so crazy about this. Somebody asked me today, tell us some stories. And I was sitting there with some people that did anything about wrestling. I'm telling them some of these road stories. And people are looking at me like, that's not true.
Right.
This is 100% true. I finally quit telling the stories because I thought nobody's believing me, but these were 100% true and worse.
I got to ask about.
I mean, absolutely. I mean, I'm sitting here being like, this can't be true. This can't be real life. JBL has to be working us. He is working us. Because how is this true? Again, like I said, like, are these rental cars? Like, how are they? I mean, are these their personal cars? Like, why are they willing to hit each other's cars with these cars? I know wrestlers are crazy. Listen, in all wrestlers, there's a little part of their brains that's a little bit off because you have to be a little bit off to do this for a living. You know what I mean? To literally sacrifice your bodies for little to no pay without a guaranteed future, all for some stardom. It's wild. But I can't imagine that wrestlers are this off that they think regularly playing bumper cars on the road, essentially with real cars, is a good idea. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Ron, if you heard any stories, because I know back in the day, like Deion Sanders, he was the big man on campus for Florida State. He had the big chains, he had the big sunglasses. He'd even pull up in a cool car. I mean, that became a calling card for him, and it was a different era. But you had that kid at SMU flexing his new Corvette, and there was lots of fun big man on campus stories. Is there something like that you know of with Ron Simmons at FSU?
Ron is the greatest BMOC, big man on campus of all time. Of all time. When I tell you what Ron did, you are going to find it shocking. And you will agree with me. So Ron, when he was there, Bobby Bowden, he loved Bobby Bowden. Bobby Bowden was like a father to Ron. Ron really loved Bobby Bowden. Ron tells a story about how Bobby came to see him, when he's living, in not a great area of town, because Ron had to, grew up with different relatives and things because of his family life. And Bobby Bowden comes and sits down with him and starts sopping biscuits, which you're from the South. You know exactly what that is. And when he sat there and looked at him, he thought, this man is just a cool dude. And so Ron, instead of going to Georgia like everybody thought he would do, he's an All-American out of Warner Robins. He went down to Tallahassee because of Bobby Bowden. He loved Bobby Bowden. But when he got down there, he was Ron Simmons. So he's a 3-time All-American, and all of a sudden, this was when you had the 3 yards in a cloud of dust out of Nebraska and Oklahoma. Football was just your big, tough guys. You'd line up, you'd beat the shit out of people. You just want to push them forward, run an option, run a power dive. Florida's changed all that. Florida changed that with speed. And this was the big difference when Florida started becoming emergent in the college industry. College football, and Ron Simmons had a huge part of this. So Ron had a Trans Am when he was in college, and it had his picture painted on it and his girlfriend painted on it with him. He was a warrior, and his girlfriend was like at his knees, and he's like got like a sword up or something. Gerald Briscoe's seen it. So imagine this: you got a 3-time All-American who looks like Ron Simmons, and you put up a picture of Ron Simmons. That's a grown ass man. Look at this. And he's driving around in tight jeans, cowboy boots, and a Trans Am with his picture as a gladiator painted on the hood.
It's amazing.
This was, by the way, this was before NIL. None of this. Sports Illustrated tried to bust Bobby Bowden, and they called Ron, who Ron is, let me tell you something, that Ron will go to his grave before he will stooge anybody. And they asked Ron, said, how is it that a young lad without parental money, without any background, grew up in different foster homes with different relatives, had a brand new Trans Am with his picture painted on it in college? Ron said, I was just good with my money. And that was his answer.
I love it.
That's amazing. That car sounds great. What a boss Ron Simmons is. I always liked Ron Simmons, but that story just makes him even greater to me. That's amazing. It's funny because they said he was painted. It's funny because he said he was painted as a gladiator on his car. I wonder if that's why Vince McMahon decided to cast him as one with this gladiator-looking getup when he first came to the WWE, when he was Farouk Assad, managed by Sonny, and he had the helmet on and everything like that. I wonder if that car, that design, was the inspiration for that gimmick. Interesting question. Tons of wild stories from JBL today. Got a kick out of them, even though they were pretty frightening. I gotta be honest. But what do you guys think? Sound off in the comment section below. Subscribe to my channel if you enjoy content like this. Smash that like button. And if you do like content like this, I got a whole bunch more stuff on the screen for you to click on and enjoy.